Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prodigy channel. And in this video, we got another mock draft for you guys from the first overall pick. I'm getting prepared for my main league. I'm drafting with the first overall selection. So I'm trying to get ready by practicing from the spot that I will actually be drafting from. When you're mock drafting, that's what you want to do. And we will be doing our mock draft on NFL.com because that is the site that my league is going to be on. So we want to mock draft with the same ADP that will actually be used during my real life draft. This is a non-PPR, 1 quarterback league, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, a flex, and don't tell anybody, but we do have a kicker and a defense. I know. I'm sorry. I'm recording this on September 2nd, 2022. And yeah, let's get into it. Drop a like, subscribe, and let's draft. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to begin our mock draft. I have the first overall selection, and I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor, running back of the Indianapolis Colts. To me, he is pretty much the obvious choice for that first overall pick. You can make a case for McCaffrey, but I'm just going to go with Jonathan Taylor because he was amazing last year. He has youth on his side. He should be the focal point of the Colts offense. And Christian McCaffrey, he's been injured a lot the last couple of seasons. I believe he played, 10 out of 33 possible regular season games over the last 2 years. So when he's on the field, McCaffrey might be the better player just because of his involvement in the passing game. But I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor. All right, so oddly enough, it looks like that this draft started a little bit wide receiver heavy. So I was hoping some of these running backs would get to me, at the second and third round turn where I'm drafting. But there has been a big run of running backs here with Barkley, Fournette, Kamara, Jones, Swift, all going in the second round. Let's see who is available for me to draft here.
Your team is now on the clock.
All right, so Nick Chubb just went off the board. So I just did another mock draft where I was in a similar situation, actually, where Nick Chubb was still on the board. But what I ended up doing here was I took Javonte Williams in that other mock draft that I did. And I am, once again, going to go with Javonte Williams.
Your team is now on the clock.
And what I did in that other draft was I went with an early tight end approach because Mark Andrews actually fell to me. But I don't even have the temptation of doing that again because he's not there. But even if he was still there, I just want to experiment with a different approach because part of mock drafting is trying out different things and preparing for your actual draft, right? So I'm going to go with another running back. I'm going to go with Ezekiel Elliot of the Dallas Cowboys, okay? So my running back core is absolutely untouchable right now. Ezekiel Elliot is my running back 3. Obviously, he had a down year last year. His age might be catching up with him, but he's got a big contract. He's the face of the Dallas Cowboys franchise. And even if he has lost a step, I think he'll still see plenty of volume. Hopefully gets in the end zone enough. Plus, he was playing with an injury last year. So it's possible that if that healed up, maybe he's a little more fresh this year. We'll see what happens. And then Javonte Williams, the big story there is Javonte Williams is an elite talent. And they brought in Russell Wilson, one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it. So that offense as a whole is going to be absolutely juiced. Javonte Williams will be the lead running back there. Obviously, Melvin Gordon is still there as their running back 2. I think they'll split work pretty evenly. The hope is that down the stretch of the season, Javonte takes over and becomes a league winner. But even if he's not, I think at the end of the second round, he's still a value if him and Melvin Gordon split work somewhat evenly. And pro tip, just something that I have found as I've been drafting out of this number 1 spot, I really like getting at least 2 running backs early, maybe even 3 like I did in this draft, because after Chubb, Javonte Williams, and Ezekiel Elliott, I would like if Swift or Jones fell to me. But after that kind of group, there's kind of a bit of a drop-off to Montgomery because the Bears offense, who knows what's going to happen with that. Connor, those guys are viable, but they don't get me super excited. And then there's an even bigger drop-off to Breece Hall, ETN, Akers, Dobbins. This whole range, I like them, but I don't love them, right? But what's nice about this range is we have some wide receivers that I like a lot, okay? So we got DK Metcalf, who is someone that I don't really love his situation with Russell Wilson leaving, but he seems to be such a value to me that I feel like I almost want to just nab him up right here. I'm going to do it. I'm going with Metcalf. I got him in my other mock draft from this spot. I'm going to go with him again. And now it's getting real dicey. Sutton is a target of mine. I'm not drafting Michael Thomas. Just too many question marks. Dillon is someone that I think will be involved in the Packers offense. He's a great player. We could go with Kittle to get our tight end, get that onesie position. I'm going to shock the world here. Just kidding. I'm going AJ Dillon. What I was going to do is I was going to take Jalen Hurts over Patrick Mahomes. I didn't do it. Jalen Hurts is someone who I really, really want because he was amazing for fantasy last year. They just added A.J. Brown to that offense. And I just think with his rushing work and all those weapons, he's going to be great for fantasy. I just couldn't pull the trigger. I added another running back. It's getting kind of wild with the running backs here, but I probably should have gone wide receiver with maybe St. Brown here. Amon-Ra St. Brown for the Lions. Maybe could have gone Waddle. Maybe could have gone Godwin. But we definitely have a running back heavy approach here in this draft. And hey, I'm just trying things out, okay? We're just experimenting with some stuff. Maybe I could have gone Jalen Hurts. Maybe I could have gone George Kittle. Get one of those onesie positions out of the way. But we are going to see how this draft plays out here, okay? We're going to see what happens. And hopefully we can get a few wide receiver values later on in this draft. Oh dear. We are 3 picks away from our selection. And the guy that I want to fall back to me is still on the board. When you have the first or the last pick in the draft, normally you just have to get the guys that you want because they're not going to make it back to you. But if this player makes it back to me, I will absolutely freak. It was Courtland Sutton, and he just went up the board. You hate to see it.
Your team is now on the clock.
And Rashad Bateman was probably who I would take next. So we got some question marks here. You know what the funny thing is I really want to go with Chase Edmonds, but my running backs are just too much. In hindsight, I should have passed on Dillon, taken Edmonds at this point. But what we're going to do here is we are going to go with Darnell Mooney at wide receiver. He seems to be a value that I like at this point. I am very tempted to go quarterback here. There are a lot of wide receiver values still on the board. Do I go Kadarius Toney? Do I go Trey Lance? Edmonds is a value that I like here. Amari Cooper. But with Jacoby Brissett being the main quarterback there, I'm not in love with it. I'm going to swing for the fences. I am going to go with Kadarius Toney. He is a talented player. We'll see what happens. At this ADP, we'll see what happens. Who knows, man? Who knows? I'm hoping he does great things for the New York Giants. As my wide receiver 3, I don't love it. I almost wish I would have taken a wide receiver instead of Dillon. That way, I would have a little more depth at wide receiver, and I could have gone with maybe an Edmonds or a Trey Lance here, who at this value I really like. But you know what? We live with that pick. And honestly, things are still looking pretty good for the team here. All hope is not lost. I think we are still looking very good. If you want to take a look at the roster here, JT, it keeps moving the thing down every time it makes a pick. JT, Javonte Williams, Ezekiel Elliot, DK Metcalf, AJ Dillon, Darnell Mooney, and Kadarius Toney. The running back room is set. All right. And unfortunately, we are at that point in the draft where the NFL website shows its flaws. A lot of these teams are auto-drafting pretty much every team other than team number 4 and team number 1, myself. So for some reason, it's 2022, and the auto-draft is making these teams take a defense and a kicker in the 8th round. Don't do that. So just to keep the integrity of this draft in place, we are going to go ahead and draft in the 8th and 9th round, and then we're going to conclude our draft, okay? So taking a look at the players available, Adam Thielen just went off the board. That was a guy that I wanted to follow me. A lot of these players that are still on the board would not be here probably because most teams would not take a kicker or a defense, right? So Moore, Smith, Cooper, Woods, they might be gone, right? They might be gone. And I can't believe this, guys. There are still so many running back values left. Melvin Gordon, Kareem Hunt. If I could do one thing differently, I wish I would have taken more wide receivers a little bit earlier on. The kind of approach that I have found to be most successful as I take Robert Woods, a much needed target for the Tennessee Titans. And actually, before I get into what I was about to say, let me just make my next pick here because I only have 30 seconds. Right now, it's between Kareem Hunt and Elijah Moore. I'm going to go with... I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt. I'm sorry. I cannot pass up that value. I think our wide receiver core is good enough to get us through the first few weeks, and then we'll have to make a decision. One thing that I have learned is I like going running back early and then targeting wide receiver kind of in this range right here, because I love the running backs early on. I like the running backs in the middle. And then as we get later on, I start to love the running backs again. You know what I mean? At these values, I love a guy like Dameon Pierce, Chase Edmonds, Kareem Hunt, who probably would go more in the 8th round if they weren't drafting kickers and defenses, right? But you get my point. You catch my drift. That's a great value. And then at wide receiver, even this late, there's still values I like. I probably should have taken my wide receiver 2 a little earlier, but AJ Dillon at that value is hard to pass up. So we are going to pretty much end the draft right now, just because the whole thing is kind of screwed up because they take defenses and kickers super early. But if I were to target someone later on at quarterback, I would be targeting Kirk Cousins. I think at that value, he's amazing. He'll have big games. I think he might have a down game here and there, but he'll have big games. New coach for the Minnesota Vikings, electric players, Jefferson, Thielen, Irv Smith, Dalvin Cook, KJ Osborne, the list goes on. And then at tight end, it looks like I'm pretty much punting the position at this point. If Pat Freiermuth got to me, that might be nice. Otherwise, if I'm going really late tight end, I'd target a guy like Gerald Everett, Gesicki, Njoku, or Austin Hooper very late. Those would not be bad picks. One tight end that I really want on my team is Dalton Schultz, who went, where did he go? Right here at the start of the 6th round. In both mock drafts I've done on this website, he has gone at the end of the 5th, beginning of the 6th. So if I really wanted him, I would have to take him at the beginning of the 5th. It seems like at that price, it's not as good of a value. If he were to fall to me, that would be a dream come true. I would feel a lot happier about this team if Cortland Sutton did fall to me. We did get Darnell Mooney, who we'll see who ends up being the better player.
Your team is now on the clock.
I mean, we're on the clock again. I might as well make a pick. Tyler Lockett might be a value here too, even though the quarterback situation is bleak. You know, someone's got to catch the ball there. You know, I'm gonna show my true purple and gold colors here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm taking Kirk Cousins over Aaron Rodgers. Was that the right pick? I don't know. But I think Rodgers will be really good this year because he's a great player. But he lost Davante Adams. Kirk Cousins might have an electric year. You never know. I'm calling my shot. And then at wide receiver, it's between Lockett, Lazard, and Christian Kirk. Since I bet against Aaron Rodgers a second ago by taking Kirk Cousins over him, I'm going to go with one of his weapons, Allen Lazard. So I got a little bit of that Green Bay offense. So we're going to end the draft right here, ladies and gentlemen. Some of these guys might not be available just because of this whole kicker defense situation, but at least through the first, 7, 8 rounds, I think we did pretty well. Our running backs are unbelievable. In fact, almost to a flaw where we could have maybe grabbed a tight end, grabbed a wide receiver. Maybe we could have gone with Trey Lance or, waited on running back, taking a wide receiver here and taking Chase Edmonds there, or maybe taking a wide receiver somewhere because Kareem Hunt is available here late. Not sure if he would have made it back if these kickers and defenses weren't being drafted, but that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and good luck with your drafts. I wish you the best of luck, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.